Hey buddy, sit. Good boy, Zeus. Alright YouTube, it's time for part 2 of the mill series on my chainsaw mills, what ones I use. And the next two are going to be the store-bought or manufactured, whatever you want to call them, mills. One's a Granberg, and the other is a Sperber. The Granberg is really basic stuff. I get it for a lot of people. Everybody knows the mill. It's probably the most popular chainsaw mill on the planet. And I don't have really anything bad to say about it, or anything new for that matter. So it might seem a little windy to you, but I figured I'd throw it in there. And the other mill is a Sperber Mill, and that's where you start getting into my big mills. It's a 52-inch, 48 to 52-inch throat, dual-headed 090s, and I do have the 090s off. I'll do another video later with it all set up. It's just that it's kind of difficult for me to handle alone. Even just like moving it around, it's big, it's awkward, it's heavy, it's not lending itself to making an easy video. So when I have somebody else around and we're going to be actually using it, we'll do a once-over video. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video and all the click and like and subscribe crap, I guess, that I'm supposed to say, and that's that. Anyway, enjoy the video, and this, by the way, is my old buddy Zeus, my other dog. Traveling dogs. Alright, thanks for watching. Okay, this is my 36-inch mill. This is the classic MK3, right? Might be an MK2 or 7 or whatever. It's a good mill. It really is. There's a reason this has become the industry standard for chainsaw mills. And it's because it's simple, it's well thought out, it's durable, and it's the little things that make it. And you really don't appreciate them until you build your own mill and realize where you went wrong. Now, I had an engineering stroke of genius by making my clamp bolts narrower, as I said before, on my mill, and out of a softer metal, which is good thinking. But Granberg made their mills so you can do everything with a T-wrench, a scrunch, whatever you want to call it. It's flatheads, and it's 13 millimeter, and that is really super handy. The only issue where I ever need anything else is with 090s. If you ever owned one or used one, the bar bolts, the bar nuts, are 17 millimeter. They're not 19 millimeter like every other Stihl. Actually, I think that, if I remember correctly, there used to be 015s, and maybe even some of the older 020s used the 17 millimeter nuts too. But these saws go back into the 70s. Mine, I want to say they're like 1974s. I don't know, though. I really don't know. Anyway, this is a 36-inch mill. It is on a 48-inch bar. I like to have a little bit of extra chain, and right now it is not set how I mill. And the reason is because I was using this on another saw on another bar, and this mill has an end cap for the flyaway chain. Now this is a great thing. It just goes right in on the bar nuts. It covers the end of the chain. My mills do not have it, as I'm sure you have noticed or are paying attention. If you're paying attention, you understand now. It does limit you to your bar size, though. And the weird thing is that fully opened, you can't put this on a 36-inch bar on an 090. So the mouth of this is I'm reading, there we go. The actual mouth of this mill is 33.5, so it wouldn't go on the bars that I have. It just would not quite make it onto the bars that I have at 36 inches. Just not going to happen. It's just a little bit short. They call it a 36-inch mill. This is 36 inches from outside to outside. Can you buy this material here? You can. If you wanted to extend this, you'd need to get a pipe here for this third rail, which is actually steel, not aluminum. But you could extend this if you wanted to get the pieces to make it a 48-inch mill, and even cut it if you wanted to get smaller pieces for the convenience of not having all extra stuff hanging all over. If you wanted to make an 18 or even a 16 or 24-inch, whatever you want to do, you can find this aluminum stock to do that. Anyway, it's a light mill. The only problem I really have with these is they're not deep enough for what I want to do. I wish they were a little bit deeper, and they're light, so they don't carry, it doesn't carry the bar across level on your planing surface, on your guide surface. And that's a problematic thing. For me anyway. I've learned the convenience of the heavier mills, and mills that with two power heads that lay flat, and it's just like one less thing to have to pay attention to, which is great. Anyway, the other thing is, now I have the material, so I'm going to make one here. This right now, as you can see, I'm hoping this is in the frame. I think it is. So we're just going to guess that it is. This gap here, 48-inch bar, which I didn't really even ever measure to see what it actually is, but you see how the guide rail cover, the chain cover, only goes out that far, which means if you're going to use it on a 48-inch bar, you have to be this far away from your power head, which means this fulcrum point right here, this is all laying on your guide surface, be it your log or a rail system. Now your power head is way off there. This is going to be your fulcrum point right here, actually right here, which means your power head, which is 30 plus pounds, I believe, for the 090s empty, probably like 32 full. It's going to push down on that, which is going to flex up on this, and it's going to bow your cut. So you're going to want to take this off and move it all the way in, but with a 48-inch bar, that's going to leave you sticking out on that live end considerably. And I'm going to tell you right now that that is going to be 8. It is going to be 12 inches. And that's a lot to have out there with the spinning chain on it. You run into a lot of problems with things like that. You're going to run into with things like your tip of your bar hitting the ground, touching the ground. It's out there with, if you have people walking around you, if you leave it idle, you're idling high, God forbid you catch your ankle on that, it'd be a mess. But so you have to be extra careful. Anyway, I am going to take some of the metal that I have. I have some aluminum, and I'm just going to basically reshape like this, make the same exact thing, but I'll make it go out 14 inches, and that's just to have that extra cover. It does nothing other than that. I just feel a little bit better about it. Now back to the brilliance of the Granbergs. This right here. With the T-wrench, everything, the adjustments, you know, all the adjustments are done with this, and that's so much easier. And the way they have these set up, this is a cast piece, and this sits in here, and it has another cast piece. Here, I'm going to bring the camera in closer. We did all the outside filming. Let me bring a camera in real close, and we'll take a look at this, because it really is, it's a great setup. Okay, for starters, I don't know if you can see this, but both legs are graduated so that you can set without a ruler or anything. I would still use blocks. Blocks just make it easier to get it right for me. But this setup right here, this piece right here is cast, and it grabs on an angle here, and then they have this cast piece and a U-bolt here that the U-bolt goes around and clamps this. And that really, it gets on there nicely. It keeps everything in the right perspective. And you can adjust it by loosening one. You see how they have the longer caps on here? These are your adjustments. Wherever you see these, this is what you're supposed to adjust on, like the regular adjustments. you do it with one side. And again, everything they did fits a T-wrench. So it's just like a really great setup. Like I said, they're light too, but that's a plus and minus. The other thing that I really can't talk highly enough about, see if, where is it? There it is this thing. These handles, they clamp right on and away you go. I have old bicycle handlebars that I cut off for mine. I just haven't put them on yet. I might just, when I start milling, just for expediency's sake, I might just hammer them flat on the end and zip screw them right to the body of the mill. It's a more comfortable angle here because it's not square, and it's just another place to purchase where your hand's away from everything. On my mills, I put my hand right on the mill. There's of course a piece of wood in there, but for carrying it, this right here is a priceless feature. You'll see a lot of guys take their T-wrenches and stick them in there because the handle has a little hole in it and it's somewhat elastic, which is a nice feature too. Anyway, that's the Granberg Mill. Again, I really like them. I've been very happy with it, and it works really well. It's reliable and it's durable and it's well thought out. So I would really say, if you're looking for a starter mill, that this is where I would start. I started in a little different places you're going to see next, but this is where I would start. You'll learn a lot with it, and I would start with a 24, and from there, 24-inch mill, and from there I would get the rails and expand it up. You know, I would get this at 24 and then buy this material, and so that I could extend it, because it's just bolt on. And that's another bit of genius with this, is that it is bolt together. So if you damage something, you can replace it so easily. And you know, if you're working in the field, you'll understand that. So that's the Granberg. That's the 36-inch mill. And we're on to the next. Okay. This is the last 4 of my go-to mills. The last of the 4. I have one other that's bigger than this. But that's its own kind of entity. It's a homemade job. And it's its own whole different gig for another time when it's running. The saws are just laying at the ends here. This is a double-ended bar, and we'll take a look at that. It is a 404 bar, 063 pitch. I run this mill exclusively with an 090 on each end. I run this mill exclusively with 404 063 milling chain. It's just a matter of size of wood you're cutting, really, when you get into this. The throat, without the rollers, I can mill 52 inches. And with the rollers, these rollers here, we'll take a closer look in a second, I can mill 48 inches. It is a considerably different beast than the other mills. And everybody seems to think they want to try it until they have to pick it up. I'm going to say this thing, full of gas and oil with the saw on each end, is going to, with a bar and chain on it, is going to weigh somewhere around 75 pounds. And it's loud. The engines on the 090s harmonize when you use them. It's a whole different world of milling. It is a lot of fun. You get into some really big, beautiful stuff that other people just don't have the capacity to do. You really do. And you find yourself doing what I do, which is milling for things for other people a lot, which is a nice way to go about it, because you can really, you can check out a lot of really neat material that's milled and not have to store it or hang on to it. It's like not wasted. It's somebody who's using it right away, and you don't have to ever worry about, will I ever get to it, or is it going to lay around my yard, that sort of thing. But let's take a closer look at the mill itself. I'm going to get rid of the power heads, and we'll get right in on the mill and take a look at the mill itself. Okay, so this is the basic mill. It's different than every other mill I got here in a lot of ways. So we're going to just pull in close to it, and we'll go feature by feature. Alrighty. Now the mill itself is, I might have to do a little pan in here, and I'm not like the world's greatest cameraman, so cut me some slack. You see the mill itself is laying on an angle, okay? There are two sides to this mill. There is what we refer to as the lead side and the back side, okay? This, in fact, is the back side. This is the side where you would be looking at the bottom of the saw right here. The saw would mount here. The chain is running this way. And the reason we call it the backside is because this mill, unlike the other ones that have skis, have these rollers on them. Now these rollers are meant to roll down the log. It's not the best design in the world, but I did have found that if you got your line and you can snap a line on the log, these work great if you have enough room to screw a piece of 2x4 to the side of the log. They work way better than the sliding skids, the little skis that are on the smaller mills. They work absolutely fantastic. But other than that, part of the problem is that if you're on the top of the log where it rounds away, the bottom corner is all that catches. And if you're on the bottom of the log where it rounds away on the bottom like that, just the corner, upper corner catches. They do work, but it's a little bit of a drawback. It's really not that much. You're dealing with so much power, you can move through things. They do hold the bar at like a 5-degree angle into the log. And if I turn this up, I'm working real hard to make sure everything's in frame here for you. If you turn this up, you'll see what I'm saying. See how they're on an angle to the cutting face of the bar? Is that okay for the camera? Yeah, you really can't see it. Oh, you know, we're gonna have to flip that over. That'll do it. There you go. Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, here you have it. Now the bar is parallel with the table surface. They're on a slight angle, and that's why the other end is called the lead end. And sometimes we call this the pull and that the push, but usually it's just that's the lead. That's all we have to communicate, is that the lead end has to go back or forth. And this is the reason why. Now you can get a couple more inches out of this mill if you take this off. I rarely to do that, because there's other features of this mill that make that a little more complicated than you would think. Let's flip it back up and look at that. Unlike the other mills, this does not just clamp onto the bar. This is hard fixed onto the bar with these Allen screws and inserts in the legs. So this is a dedicated bar for this. Not that I could imagine you would use this bar for a smaller mill or for cross cutting. I don't know what kind of maniac would try that, because once you use it as a mill, you'll understand what kind of frightening piece of machinery this is. But this is dedicated to this bar. Bars are crazy expensive. The only place I know to get them is from Canon. Fortunately, Canon makes a great product, so you're getting what you pay for. This is the first major difference of this mill, is that it is fixed, fast, hard fast, bolted to the bar with through holes. It's not a clamp on. So this thing is on there. It ain't coming off. Another feature that's different about this mill is how you set your depth. we in the frame there? Yeah, we are. The depth here is set by these Acme screws down the side. There is a belt that runs through here to the other side so that both Acme screws, one on each side, move at the same time, and they adjust everything equally. The only problem I ever had with this is it does vibrate a lot because you're using big saws that are harmonizing, and I just leave like a twisty tie, little piece of baling wire here, set it there, turn it around here, and it keeps this from moving. It is a really nice setup. It's super convenient. They do have measurements on the back side, but I don't use them. It's not really something that I rely on. You know what I mean? I like to make sure, you never know if you're going to jump one side of the gears on these measuring things. So we always measure them up or use blocks. And this depth, honestly, I think it's an 18, if I'm not mistaken. It was 18 inches, the depth of cut on this. Yeah, the depth of cut on this is 18. It's like 18 and a half. No, it's not. It's actually going to only be 16 by the time you get down into the mill frame. Which presents another huge difference of this from the other mills, and that is these are rollers. These are not, it doesn't slide, it rolls. It does, with this much surface area on the mill and that much weight pulling down on the mill, it does make a big difference to have rollers on it rather than sliding on the frame. And like I said before, everybody wants to use the big saw until they have to. Using this thing is work. It's not really, no offense to anybody smaller, it is not for small people. My milling partners, every one of them was over 6 foot 1 inches tall. Everybody weighed over 250, and that's at our slimmest, man. Right now, I'm up around 300 pounds. The gentleman who uses the other side of this with me is around 265, and it's work. It's big, it's heavy, it's loud. It's not a simple thing. Is it enjoyable? I really wouldn't call it enjoyable. Is it gratifying? Yeah, I'll go with that. I do like the end products that come out of it, and at the end of the day, I find it very satisfying, but it's not necessarily always enjoyable. If you're going to be using this, there's no comfortable positioning. Get yourself a pair of chaps, get yourself a pair of shin guards with knee pads on them, and get yourself a pair of elbow pads, because you're going to be bending up and around and moving all over creation in different formations and shapes than you ever thought you would be doing chainsaw milling. And you're going to be working. Bring plenty of hydration and food, and you'll be taking a break between every cut for about 10 minutes. It's just the way it goes. It's, like I said, it's labor intensive. But where you win is with heavy timbers, with over standard stuff, and I mean big, 36 inches and over. You can go in the field and do it and haul it out without having to haul the log out. And that includes backwoods stuff where all you can get to it is maybe like a Jeep with a trailer, or even a UTV with a trailer, where you otherwise would have to spend a fortune getting the log out, and you can really get some priceless gems out of the woods with this. So anyway, this is the Sperber Mill. It was built by Sperber Tools. I believe they moved to Vermont. They were in Caldwell, New Jersey when I got this. I've had this for over 25 years. It has proven to be super durable. It has proven to be exceptionally accurate. Like exceptionally accurate in regards to the cuts. And I really like it a lot. It's well thought out. Like I said, this is where you lose on this. This is not a tool for somebody who's going to be casually milling, especially this particular type of mill. You're going to have a dedicated bar. You're not going to be able to use your saw for the bar for other things. You're going to have that dedicated bar to it. It's going to be bolted on. You're going to need room to store something like this, because this is this is big, man. It just takes up a lot of space. There's no two ways about it, and it's heavy. So even I'm sure you could put a bar for a single power head on this, but I wouldn't even waste my time. You're spending your life milling things that are just going to take you forever. You'd be better off just spending the money on the whole unit for the amount of time that you would spend on it. You know, it's that's just the way it is. Anyway, that's that in a nutshell. The Sperber Mill, big, heavy, loud, dangerous, but a producer. The smallest thing I've ever used this on, the smallest log I've ever used this on, is a 24-inch logs, and we were using it to break them in half. And we were breaking them in half and then quartering them, which we'll do a video on that for somebody else, to quarter saw on a really small bandsaw mill. And we'll do a set for quarter sawing video in the near future, because I am going to be doing an oak log quarter sawing. I think it's like a 24 or 30-inch diameter oak log that we're going to cut for quarter sawing wood in the near future. Anyway, that's that. I hope you liked the video. I hope you got something out of it. Maybe learned something. You got something you want to tell me, teach me, give me a little information. I'd love to know. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.